All right, so today we're stripping the Cummins down and getting it ready to do our first stuffing. So I just was taking stuff off, and I thought it'd be good to mention that a lot of times, when you're doing a conversion or repower, as you might call it, a lot of times we need these specialty hoses that bend real tight like this, or you need a piece of tubing that bends at really weird angles, really different shapes and sizes and what have you, just like this bottom lower radiator hose. If you were doing a Cummins conversion in a truck, I bet you there's a lot of guys that would have killed to have that little offset right there to make their life simpler. But these are all the things we're going to take off and set them aside because we may need them too. So I've got the air intake off. I just took the air charge cooler off, the lower radiator hose. We're going to take that heater hose off. I got this wiring harness off. That's the powers and grounds and a little bit of inputs, or outputs, I mean. Then next we're going to take the big harness loose. We'll take that plug right here loose from the ECM, and it's an Allen head. Can you see it in there? Yeah. I can't remember what size it is, but I'll tell you in a minute. Ooh, look. The plate was going to come off the ECM. We found it. Good deal. Yeah, we want to keep that because it's got our ECM code on it and all that. So we'll hang on to that. All right, so we're going to get the ECM, that wiring harness off. We're going to take this power steering pressure line, or the return line off. We're going to leave the pressure line off. We're going to get the reservoir off. I've reduced the fuel line down to just the flexible one coming off the engine before it goes to plastic. And then we're going to get the front assembly taken apart. When I take this air intake off, I'll cap off the intake. I'll cap off the turbo. We're going to take that downpipe off. We'll cap that off. We don't want anything to get in there, going in and out, in and out. It'd be real easy for something to fall in there and get lodged, and then all of a sudden we got a big catastrophic failure due to an oversight. So I'm taking this fan off, and this is somewhere we're gonna shrink our length up. This is I believe I measured out as 2 3/4 inch spacer. But if you look at this hub, the way this hub's made, it's just a spacer. So we can remove this or reduce this, either or. I'm not going to be able to use this fan because the fan blade comes down past the center point of the crank, and I've got a crank driven PTO pump coming in out of here. So I'm going to have to find a smaller fan that will bolt to this hub. If not, I can change this hub out to a typical pickup truck or maybe another truck that uses a smaller fan, if I can't find one that matches this bolt pattern, which I don't really think that's going to be a big deal. But you can see what this was. It's basically, it resembles a AC clutch, just like this down here. The way it works is the computer controls, when it sees a temperature come up, the computer is going to ground a relay, and that's what's going to energize the coil windings that are in here. And again, it's an electromagnet. So when you introduce electric into a coil winding, and a coil winding, I'll explain what that is just wires ran around, real fine wires. What happens is when you send that current through that windings, it creates a magnetic pull in the center. So when you do that, what happens is when you put power on there, it will pull this. As a matter of fact, we'll just show you. There you go. So to show you what I'm talking about, like in the center, it'll be magnetic. So it pulls my Allen socket to it. So when you apply power to it, it locks it up, and then it turns the cooling fan on. So that's how it works. So now we're going to take these 2 AC compressors off. Now you get a better look at what they did with their add-ons. We're going to take all this bracketry off to clean it all up because we don't need it. You want your glasses back?
Yes.
FedEx truck was just here. Ooh, I see Milwaukee. I see Milwaukee on that box.
Yeah, that's what it says.
Oh man. Cummins and Milwaukee. Cummins and Milwaukee. Man, life is good. All right, so we put her on a diet. She came out quite a few pounds lighter. Got everything off that I think we need off right now, at least to start with. And next we're going to bring the grate all in. We'll get this cross member off. That's the only thing left. It's kind of what holds it from rocking over, falling over. And we're gonna do our first stuff and see how much stuff is in the way and what else we have to move, or what else has to be modified to make her fit. If she'll fit. She may not. We might get it down in there, and I have grossly underestimated the size of all this, and we may have to come up with another solution. I don't know. Time will tell. Let's see.
So we're going to try this with our grate all, but if the boom is too big, which it may be, we'll have to go get our forklift. Yeah, he's real close to the garage door.
That's what I was afraid of. See what I got?
Yeah.
I think we're just gonna have to. I got two options. I can go with a fork extension, which is about 2 feet longer than this, or I can just go get my forklift, because this is gonna have to come in and out quite a few times, because we're right up against the bucket there. I'm getting close to the garage door opener right there. I kind of figured this was gonna be an issue. Yeah, I mean, I could build something for this to make it work, but it's probably better if we just go get the forklift. We could use my skid steer, but it's tough getting out of the skid steer when you've got this up in the air like that. So I think we'll just, as much as I hate to spend the time, I think we're just gonna get the forklift. It'll make better sense. Boy, that was interesting. I needed to get my forklift picked up, but I got a truck in the way of the door, and it's been raining for 3 or 4 days now. I didn't know if I was going to come back out of here, but luckily I did. I was able to use a forklift, pick the truck over and scoot it over and get the roll back in here. So I made some pretty decent ruts. We pushed them back down, walking on them best we can, but guess we're all chained down and ready to go. So let's head back. So I went over and got my trusty forklift that I had at one of my other properties. So I went and picked it up, brought it over here, and I tried that, and it went better. The height clearance was good, but I didn't have enough length. You know, typical pallet forks are like 40 inches long. Well, I really need at least 36 to get it back far enough. So I went through my pile of scrap steel, and I found this piece of 4-inch by 6-inch by 3/8 wall box tubing, and I'm gonna make me a whatever you want to call it, lifting boom, whatever the case. So what I'm gonna do, I've already started, and then I grabbed the camera, of course, is I'm making keyholes. If you're not familiar with keyholes, they're pretty popular in tow truck applications. You have a round hole, you slide the chain in, there's a slot, the chain falls down. I know a lot of times in some trucks, this height is a big deal. So if you took and just put a D-ring on the side of this, or hook something on top, or you hooked it underneath, you're fighting clearance. So I thought, let's just go ahead and make some keyholes, and then we can just slide our chain in here. The chain can be whatever length it needs to be. There's nothing limiting us from what we're doing. So we're going to put one here, one here. So those are 2 feet apart, and we're going to do it on the other side here and here, because imagine this is going to lay flat just like the profile of the fork. All right, so it's going to lay flat on here. I'm putting one right here. This is the top portion. So as it sits on here, if I need to run a chain in there and hook it up to the carriage because I'm worried about weight, or I don't want to bend my fork, or something like that, then I can slide a chain in there, go ahead and hook it up here. And then in the back, we're going to do something else. Well, it's not the back, it's the bottom. Here, we're going to drill, 21 30-second holes. I have 2 of them laid out here. One here and one here. Because this is 4 inches, and the forks here are 1.5 inches, and I think on my Great All, I believe they're 3 inches. So there's going to be a lot of slop, and it's going to naturally want to sit, on the top of the fork. So I'm putting 2 holes here, and we're going to thread them. We're going to put a 3/4 inch bolt in here, and we'll put T-handle on it so that we can quickly tighten them up. So we're going to thread that 3/8. If that's not enough, we'll add a nut out here, and we'll weld it in place. So that's where I'm at now. I'm going to get this built. I'm also going to weld a section of chain back here on this side and one on this side, and I'll put a hook, a grab hook, on either end, so no matter what I'm putting it around, I have ample amount of chain to hook it and keep it from sliding off the fork. So that's kind of the gist of it. Now, making these keyholes is going to be pretty crude. I'm not going to spend a whole ton of time on it. I'm just going to drill my end hole, which I've center punched. That's a 3/8 hole. At the edge of the 3/8, I'm going to scribe a line. And I'm probably going to either use a die grinder and cut that out, or plasma cut it. We'll see. I'm not too. It needs to be. It needs to be a clean enough cut that the chain slides in and out, but not too sloppy where I'm worried about it. So let me get my holes drilled. So this turned out good. This one's drilled. This side is both holes are drilled. This one's drilled. I've got the pilot hole for the slots all drilled all the way there, and I was coming to this and I started to drill, and I looked down and I said, wait a minute, that's not right, that's supposed to be over here. So thankfully I didn't drill all the way through and don't have to weld that back closed, so I caught it in time. Alright, since the deck was stacked against me, I didn't have the right drill bit for this 3/4 10 tap, and I didn't have a tap driver. I thought it was best just to tack weld a nut on here and then go ahead and tap the hole. Put a little grease on the tap so it collects the chips as we go, which I've already obviously tapped this and it turned out pretty good. All right, so the next dilemma is on this particular setup, this bolt doesn't have enough threads, so I'll have to get a different bolt. It doesn't come down far enough to come in contact with the fork that's in here. So I'll either have to cut my nut back off, or go get a different 3/4 bolt, or finish tapping this the rest of the way. I don't think I have a 3/4 inch die to make threads all the way, so probably gonna have to go get another bolt, but threads turned out pretty decent going in there. So that we're gonna call that stymied for right now, and we're gonna get ready to put our chain on here. All right, so this is what I got. I figured I'd weld it on the bottom. It's a little hot, I guess, but I like this chain because it has a lock on it, and you can hook it on itself or on the other chain or around something. So I really like that. So now let's flip it over and do the other one. All right, so maybe that's give you a better idea. Got one on each side. That way I can run it up to whatever and safety chain it on. Now realize these are only grade 43 chains. These aren't grade 70. So the working load limit on these is reduced. So, you know, basically if you double them up, basket style, whatever that's called, you get more strength. So next we need to connect the dots. We need to make the slots for the chains now, for the other chains, because that's what I'm basing it on, is we're going to use a 5/16 chain on this. I think it's going to be fine. The top I set up, the one to come back to the carriage as extra support, I set that up as a 3/8 chain just in case. But anyways, let's get cutting. Alright, so I just cut it out with a cutting wheel. It seemed to work out okay. I just did a little filing. I'm going to add another piece in here later, but I really need this lifting boom right now. So we're going to slide it on the fork and see how well it fits and see how much more of a bolt I need here. Alright, so there she is, all finished up. The keyhole slots work well. I like those because it allows me to adjust the engine left or right. It also allows me to pitch it one way or the other, more than what I can get out of maybe just the forklift. And the only thing that's not exactly fantastic is trying to get those chains shoved in there, because there's a lot of chain, because I've got this real close. But I really like it. I'm glad I did this, because it pulls a lot of the pressure off the end of this, which our end of our fork on the Cummins Swapper 2000, our end of our forks are right here. So anything we can do to help pull the load back to the mast is a good idea. So safety chains turned out well. I still don't have any bigger bolts, haven't got them yet, but it's working fine. And these are just trailer safety chains. And this is what I like about them, is you can either use them as on a hook like that, because of the way they're made, they work out real well, or you can wrap it around and hook it on itself and it won't come loose like a regular grab hook would. I was going to close this end of it in. I don't think I'm going to, because it helps to get the chains in and out. I'll probably just clean this up here, you know, get a nice clean cut. But I'm pretty pleased. So if you need to build yourself a Cummins Swapper 2000, well, I guess now you know how I did mine. So anyways, that's it, guys. I'm gonna go. This just took a couple hours, get it all put together, and now we can get back to the project at hand, which is putting that Cummins in that Dynahoe.